Hello class, this is Kevin. I'm going to go over a PowerPoint called Writing Thesis and Statements. If you look here, it comes from Terry Norris. You may know him from the Reading Writing Lab. He's also known as our Learning Center's guru. So I took part of this, I took his PowerPoint and I've added my own parts to it as well. So let's go through it. First of all, a thesis statement is usually one sentence. For me, I prefer it to be one sentence. I think it's stronger. However, there are other English teachers who teach that it's okay to have it as one or two sentences. But for me, I think it's stronger if it's one sentence. So let's go through. Here we go. I just talked about this a little bit. That there are several kinds of thesis statements, but I just wanted to say again that I like my thesis statement to be one sentence. Other teachers will prefer it to be one or two. So go what the teacher likes. I personally think it's a style choice, but again, my style choice is one thesis statement. Here it says there are several kinds of thesis statements, but right now we're going to go over just general. What they mean by different kinds, for example, if you're writing an argumentative essay, your thesis statement will probably want to start with although or however, because you want to bring the opposing side in and then say what you think or what your opinion is of what they think. So you're kind of giving them a little nod and you're setting up the reader. So let's continue. If we look here, these are the three parts that you should have or that should be contained in your thesis, but I'll talk about that a little bit. Here in the PowerPoint you should have your topic. What are you going to write about? What is the reader going to learn about? The writer's opinion. What do you want us to know about the topic? And then an outline. An outline I'll go over a little bit more in depth when you can see an actual visual of it. An outline's not always necessary, but it is nice, especially if you're writing a shorter essay. So I will go over that a little more when you can actually see it. Let's take a look at a thesis statement, the parts of it with actual and example words. Take a look. Topic would be large classes. The opinion is, what does the reader think, or excuse me, what does the writer think of large classes? They think they're not good. And then an outline means they're going to list their subcategories, or they have a plan of development which the reader can follow. In here, lack of opportunities, inefficient teacher-student ratio, and too much work for the teacher. So here, the topic is large classes. The writer here doesn't think it's a good idea, and then they list, or they outline, the three reasons why they don't think it's good. Let's go to a little example I created. What I've done is I've taken Mr. Norris's example and made it a little different the way I would teach this. So it's good to see different sides. So first of all, I kind of like to make it a math problem or a formula. So to me, first of all, I want to say a topic sentence and a thesis statement are the same. They have the same parts. However, a topic sentence is is only for a paragraph, where a thesis statement covers a whole essay. So therefore, they're the same, except your thesis statement has to be on steroids. It has to have more to it, more meat, because it's covering more material. So let's just take a look back here. So we need a topic plus a controlling idea, or what Mr. Norris calls an opinion, and then this will equal your topic sentence or your thesis statement. I like to use the word controlling idea because it controls what the writer is going to tell you. The writer has to stay in control and cannot go off topic or what they're going to tell you about. So let's take a look. I wrote the other example as a full, thesis statement. Large classes in any educational setting are not beneficial for students or the teachers because of the students' lack of participation in class, the inefficient student-teacher ratio, and the overwhelming workload for teachers. So first of all, if this were a quiz and I asked you where's the topic, you would say, well, what are we going to learn about? Large classes in any educational setting. I could have been even narrower, saying large classes in high schools, colleges, elementary schools. But I think this carries across all educational settings. So the topic here would be large classes in any educational setting. What's the point? What's the opinion? What's the controlling idea? What is the writer going to tell us? That they're not beneficial. And then they list the three reasons why. First one, Students lack participation. If you have a lot of students in the class, they probably won't get enough face time with the teacher. Here, number 2, the inefficient student-teacher ratio. The teacher may have 1 to 50 or 40. I even think 30 students is too much. And then the last point, excuse me, is overwhelming workload for the teachers. So obviously the more students the teachers have, the more work they have to do at home or in getting prepared. So this is the topic sentence, or excuse me, the thesis statement, because this would be for a whole essay. Now if we were in class, I would ask you to practice. Come up with your own thesis statement. You want to choose a topic. If you don't know much about it, do some pre-writing, do some research. Determine what you want to use in the thesis, and then come up with it. And again, here, you want a topic. What is your opinion? What is the controlling idea? And then an outline. An outline simply means you're going to list your 3 points. So let's take a look and see what I've come up with. So here's an example the students could have come up with, or the one I came up with. So first of all, this is a practice thesis statement. I decided to use the topic of Mexico. I'm the writer now, what do I want you, the audience, to know about Mexico? Well, here's my controlling idea or my opinion. And it is, Mexico has 3 beautiful cities to visit. There are more, but I only want to talk about 3 for the purpose of this essay. So, and then I have the topic, the controlling idea, and then my outline. What are my 3 subcategories? What cities am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about Oaxaca, Jalisco, and Mexicali, or Mexicali. So, yes, a little smiley face, a little nod to Mexicali there. So then here's my thesis statement. Mexico has many beautiful cities like Oaxaca, Jalisco, and Mexicali. Topic, Mexico. Controlling idea, has many beautiful cities. And then what's my outline, or what's my plan of development? Oaxaca, Jalisco, and Mexicali. Those are the only 3 cities I will talk about because I want to stay in control of my thesis statement. I don't want to lie to my reader. In this table, you will see that I've put both the thesis statements side by side, and then I broke them down by their pieces. This is a good review by their parts, their components. So first of all, here's the first thesis statement. And again, the topic was, large classes. What was the controlling idea? It's right here. Large classes are not beneficial for students or teachers. And then I listed my subcategories, or the outline is referred to in the PowerPoint. Lack of student participation. Number 2, low teacher-student ratio. And number 3, large workload for the teachers. So this is the thesis statement, and it's broken down. The second one we went over was Mexico and its beautiful cities. The topic is Mexico. The controlling idea, or our opinion, is it has 3 beautiful cities to visit. There are more, but for the purpose, again, we're only going to talk about 3. And then those 3 cities would be Oaxaca, Jalisco, and Mexicali. So this is a comparison of the 2 thesis statements we just created. One thing I did want to point out is you must stay in control. That's why, again, this is called a controlling idea. So take a look here. In my thesis statement, I have listed Oaxaca first, Jalisco second, and then Mexicali is third. Again, Oaxaca, Jalisco, Mexicali. Stay in control. What I mean by that is, if I were writing my paper and you started to read, and the first body paragraph was about Jalisco, would that be confusing to you? Yes, it would. Because I'm your writer, I'm lying to you. I told you I'm going to start with Oaxaca, but instead I started with Jalisco. I'm out of control. Don't worry, I can fix this in 2 different ways. 1, I can rearrange my thesis statement, put Jalisco first. Or 2, I can rearrange the body paragraphs in my thesis. So again, stay in control. Do not lie to your reader. The next thing I wanted to point out is it necessary to always have an outline or the subcategories? It's not. For instance, let's take a look here. Mexico has many beautiful cities like Oaxaca, Jalisco, Mexicali. If I were writing a really long essay, I may not want to list the subcategories, because if you were talking, like my master's thesis was almost 30 pages long, I would not list all my subcategories if I had that many. I would make it more general. you could say, Mexico has many beautiful cities to visit, period. Then the reader knows that as they read the essay that you're going to tell them about those cities. And then just like this one, large classes in any educational setting are not beneficial for the students or the teachers, period. You would not have to list the reasons why. The reader would say, well, what are those reasons? And then they know that you would list them throughout the essay. I personally think if it's a smaller essay, I like to give the subcategories. This way, it's like you're giving your reader a taste. You're giving them a roadmap so they know what to follow. They know what to expect as they read the essay. And the last point I wanted to make was, if you list the 3 reasons or the outline of or your plan of development, you'll want to use these as your body paragraphs. And here they're saying one reason, another reason, and finally. If you start your body paragraphs, the topic sentences of your body paragraphs with this, it's easier for your reader to follow along. It adds cohesion or coherence. And also, if you take a look here, by adding large classes, we know that that'll go directly back to the thesis statement. Participating in class, which is the first topic sentence. Here, another reason, large classes, insufficient teacher-student ratio. All 3 of these tie directly back to the thesis statement. That, again, adds another form of coherence. So you want to have coherence within each paragraph, body paragraph, and then by adding very good topic sentences, you're adding coherence again because it goes back and buttresses or supports the thesis statement. Okay, everybody, that's a overview of thesis statements. I hope this helps. Take care.